We're on 98 likes. Get to 100 likes. We'll give you an update.
2 more likes to go. All right, let's get into it. Tottenham update. So, we're going to start talking about Roberto De Zerbi first and foremost, as Ben Jacobs has claimed that Roberto De Zerbi turned down Tottenham 3 times before he was appointed. I wonder when those 3 times were, because obviously once when Thomas Frank was sacked. When do you think the other 2 times were?
Probably during that time.
What, 3? He turned us down 3 times in the space of a few days.
Probably. No, I'm saying probably after he was sacked, and then, well, first of all, I reckon maybe when we were talking to Frank after Andrew was sacked, he was on our list, wasn't he? So maybe that was one of the times, because he was only a year into Marseille. Maybe he didn't want to leave. I reckon next time was when Frank was sacked, and I think another time was maybe during the Tudors' tenure at some point, where they were like, okay, this is going wrong.
Right there. Yeah. I think you're right. Also, it has been claimed that Roberto De Zerbi feels that privately that Tottenham should be competing for the Champions League spots next season. Ben Jacobs did say that he feels that he's not going to put pressure on his players and come out with it publicly, but privately in his inner circle, he is telling people we should be challenging for the Champions League spots next season.
Well, Ben Jacobs just made it public, so cheers for that, Ben. You know, he wanted to keep that under wraps, but not anymore. But yeah, look, for me, that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. De Zerbi is a very positive guy. Look how he spoke about the relegation fight and all that kind of stuff. He didn't beat around the bush. Oh, we can win 5 out of 5. Oh, you know, of course we're 100% going to be in the league. You know, he was so positive throughout that whole time, and it doesn't surprise me. And I think it's true as well. I mean, we just saw it this last season with Man United. He said with the right investment, we can compete for Champions League football, and I think that's true with a lot of clubs,
especially the big 6 clubs.
Yeah, if you get it right, because we have a lot of money to spend, if you get it right, you can change things very quickly. Man United went from 15th to 3rd. It can happen. Leicester went from 17th to league winners. So that, you know, it can happen. It's not crazy to think that you can jump from where we were to challenging for Champions League, especially with De Zerbi's already had that little bit of time with the squad already. Last seasons has just been, he's had that 7 games. Now he's going to have a full preseason. He's already changing players' minds, like Van de Ven and Porro signed a new deal. There's a good feeling now in the camp compared to how it's been over the last year or so. So I've got no doubt that De Zerbi, he's an ambitious guy. He ain't come here to fight for mid-table. He ain't come here to get into the Europa League. He wants to be at the very top. He wants to be battling for Champions League. And he knows at a club like Tottenham, we're more than capable of being in that competition regularly. We've done it before. And we have the revenues to get to that position again. So if I'm De Zerbi, of course that would be my target. That's the kind of person he is. Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, obviously we saw Manchester United go from 15th to 3rd. Can Spurs go from 2 17th places to top 5 next season? That would be one hell of a jump, wouldn't it?
Of course, if you're objective about it and in logic states, you know, it's unlikely. I'm not sitting here saying it's definitely going to happen, but all I'm saying is De Zerbi, of course he's going to believe that. That's the kind of guy he is. He probably thinks we can fight for the league, knowing him. You know what I mean? That's the kind of character De Zerbi is, and that positive energy is what we need, I think, in this football club.
We're going to talk about Vinai Venkatesham. Ben Jacobs says that Vinai is safe for now, certainly more so than Johan Lange, which we'll get into in a minute, but he is respected internally at Tottenham, Vinai Venkatesham. He's not what we wanted to hear.
He's not respected outside of Tottenham, I can tell you that.
Well, yeah, not by the fan base anyway.
No, or by Arsenal fans as well.
Yeah, literally. He's not respected anywhere apart from the 4 walls.
Yeah. Look, it is what it is with Vinai. I think we have to go one by one, rooting these guys out, and Johan first, then Vinai next. But yeah, I think when it comes to Vinai, at the end of the day, he hasn't actually been in the door for that long, has he? So I think the Lewis family are probably a bit more sympathetic towards him than they would be to Johan. It makes sense in that way. And obviously, Johan's the one making more of the footballing decisions than Vinai.
Yeah. And on Johan Lange, he says Johan Lange is not safe at Tottenham. They will bill him as safe, as he is the only sporting director they have right now. Once a new director comes in, then he may leave the football club. They are looking for a main man, not a co-sporting director. So, I mean, I have no doubt that they're looking for a new sporting director. I just don't know if they're going to find one. And I feel like we're going to be stuck with Johan Lange till January or next season. That's what I feel.
Yeah, I think they will find someone and they will appoint him. I think it's already they should have appointed them a while ago, but I think they will find someone, and I think that he will be replaced. Whether he'll still be here at the club or demoted, I don't know, but I think for sure he's going to be replaced as a sporting director.
I mean, for me, it's positive. It says that they're looking for a main man and not a co-sporting director, because this whole co-sporting director thing is nonsense.
Yeah, 100%. You need one guy calling the shots. You don't want a conflict of interest in the sporting director role. And I don't think Johan should be having any say, to be honest, in that kind of stuff. He's already screwed things up so much. We need him away from the decision-making. But it's interesting that they're saying they're kind of billing him as safe, but he's not safe, and I think that makes a lot of sense, because right now there is work to be done.
But also then billing him as safe, that if they don't find the guy that they're looking for, then they can just say, oh, the plan was always to stick with Johan Lange.
Of course. Look, Johan's not stupid as well. I'm sure he knows his job's on the line here.
Yeah. In terms of what Spurs are looking for in this summer transfer window, Ben Jacobs says Spurs are expected to make 7 signings this summer window.
7?
He says they're looking for a new goalkeeper, a new centre-back, Palhinha, or another midfielder expected, and Spurs want a left winger and a forward. He did go on later to say that Spurs could sign João Palhinha plus another midfielder as well.
7 signings. Last time we did that, the Magnificent 7, replacing Gareth Bale, worked out marvellously, didn't it?
Yeah.
But look, obviously, it's positive. That's what we want to hear. They're obviously saying all the right things at the moment. We're putting football first. We're going to make all these signings. We're going to invest. We're going to hire the wage bill. All these kind of things. Obviously, we'll have to believe them when we see it. But I think in terms of the list, I think those are all the positions that we've been talking about. Obviously, I would mean as well a hell of a lot of departures. But maybe there will be some surprise departures. We'll have to wait and see.
In terms of the goalkeeper, did Bart Verbruggen?
I have to say,
he wasn't impressive today, was he?
Should have saved that the last goal for
one time with on the ball
Japan.
under the pressure. He put it out of play as well.
He did. No, I think all goalkeepers can do that when they're under pressure, but it's about how regularly you do it. But I think, I think I'd be more worried about that goal he conceded, because he got 2 hands on it. It was weak. Very weak wrists. I would expect my keeper to save that.
Yeah. Let's get into specifics now. And let's start off talking about Luca Vuskovic. Ben Jacobs says that Tottenham are not inclined to sell and rate Luca Vuskovic highly. The valuation Spurs has is 60 million, and Brighton have only offered 30 million, which was rejected. Luca is not pushing to leave Tottenham this summer. He wants game time or he wants to go unless he can get a Premier League loan to Brighton with a guarantee to come back and play next season at Tottenham Hotspur. So, look, the guy just wants to play. That's all it comes down to right now with Luka Vuskovic. It's not about where Spurs are at. It's not about where Brighton are at. He wants to play, and he wants to play at the highest level, and who can blame him?
Yeah, and that's all we've been saying, isn't it? It's pretty obvious his stance, and I think anyone kind of getting fed up with him or anything like that, I think is aiming their anger in the wrong direction, because yes, Vuskovic is making maybe some noise, or it's frustrating. We keep having these conversations, but at the end of the day, it's because number one, he's very good and he's very ambitious and very smart, and he's got a good head on his shoulders, and he knows what's best for his development. It's not about where he plays, it's that he plays, and that's the best thing for him. So if he's got a chance to go to Brighton, playing at the Premier League top level regularly for a team who are known for developing players, I mean, why wouldn't he want that? Of course, if we're offering him first team football and we're offering him a chance to develop at our place, and we're guaranteeing him a certain amount of minutes, I'm sure he would want to stay here, but we're not. The problem is that, I guess the problem for Tottenham right now is he wants a guarantee. He's saying he'll go on loan for this year, but then he wants a guarantee of playing next year. And if we sign Van Hecke, is that guarantee going to be there? Can't say that it is. So it's a very difficult situation about what we do with Luka Vuskovic right now. For me, I would potentially sanction a multi-year loan if possible, and maybe there'll be a team receptive to that. and go. I mean, I would love it to see someone like Brighton go there, develop, become a really good defender, and then when you're like 21 and maybe completely ready to be like a player, maybe even at Champions League level kind of player, starting every week, then maybe you bring him in and you look at the defenders that you have. But right now, this is what I've been saying about De Zerbi. He wants Champions League football next season. Who's more likely to bring that to him, Van Hecke or Vuskovic? That's the decision he's making. That's where that's his head's at. So I completely get De Zerbi's point of view, but I also get the club's point of view. We don't want to sell such a talent, especially not for 30 million. So, but then Vuskovic has his own interests, and his interest is to play. It's not about getting Champions League football. That's not his interest. It's not about how well Spurs do, as much as obviously he wants to play for a good team. His interest right now is developing and becoming the best player for him. So we've all got conflicting interests at the moment.
No big club would sell a player like Luca Vuskovic at this stage of the career, before he's even properly exploded, he's exploded.
I mean, Man City have.
Yes, but Man City always have contingency plans, and they've got they've got so many of these top talents. Like we've got one, you know what I mean? So I think you look at like Arsenal with Saliba. I'm sure they had many chances to sell him at the time when he was on loan for 2 years. They didn't do it because they believed in his talents. We need to do the same with Luka Vuskovic. I've got no problem with him going on loan for 2 years. I prefer him to be at Spurs next season, but I've got no problem with him being on loan next season as long as the progression is to be in our first team. That's what we want. That's what we need. We need players like Luka Vuskovic to be part of the long-term future of this football club.
Thing is with Arsenal, what they did with Saliba, they loaned him out for 3 years. But they did keep investing in that position even in that time. But what happened was they signed Ben White for 50 million, played him at centre-back, and it turned out he just wasn't great at centre-back, and he was much better right-back. So there was a natural opening right there for Saliba. If we sign Van Hecke, I doubt Van Hecke is going to turn into a fullback or anything like that. So that's I don't know how we play it. Obviously, what I want is, I think maybe even next summer, if we're back in Europe, maybe you just bin off Dan, so you bring Vuskovic back in, and then you can guarantee him a good amount of minutes. Maybe that's what you do. Maybe one of Senesi or Van Hecke turns out isn't as good as we think they are, and we sell one of them and bring Vuskovic in. You never know what's going to happen in football, do you? A year's a long time in football. Things happen very, very quickly. So, obviously, for me, I don't think we should sell Vuskovic unless we sell him like Madrid do and get a reasonable buyback, which someone would agree to. That's the only way I'll do it. But for me, he should be considered unsellable. The only way we should be open to letting him go, but not permanently 100%. For a small fee.
100%. You've got to find a club that is willing to aid his development and take him on loan for 2 years. Like Arsenal obviously sent Saliba to Marseille.
Well, they sent him on 3 different teams.
Saliba went to Marseille for 2 years, didn't he?
It was Nice, Saint Etienne, and Marseille.
So he went on loan for 4 years?
3 years.
But he was at Marseille for 2 years, wasn't he?
I think just one, because they signed him in 2019, and he went to.
Was he not at Marseille for 2 years?
Saint Etienne, unless he actually maybe signed from Saint Etienne. Maybe it was Marseille.
He signed from them.
So maybe it was Nice and then Marseille for 2 years.
Yeah, that makes more sense. That makes more sense. So that's what we need to try with Luka Vuskovic, but we want him to play in the Premier League ideally. But I can't see unless it's like one of the promoted clubs or something like that. I can't see a club taking him, and especially clubs like Brighton and Bournemouth, taking him on loan for 2 years just to aid our development of our player.
You get a very good player.
You do get a very good player, but that's just not their model. They buy for cheap and sell for expensive. They're not in the business of developing other teams' players.
I understand that, but sometimes when a player like Vuskovic comes along, maybe it's just a great opportunity that they don't want to turn down to have a player like that playing for them, and maybe they back themselves to think, if we get him in our doors, maybe we could convince him to come permanently at some point. Maybe that's what they're thinking.
What about sending him to like Coventry under Frank Lampard?
That's also an option. I would prefer him to play at a team where I know they're going to be playing a certain brand of football. And with the promoted teams, you can't really guarantee that. I know he did it in the Championship, but who knows maybe they'll change it up in the Premier League. I would rather he goes to like a Dortmund or something like that.
Yeah.
Someone who
again,
maybe
like
Atalanta or something. Somewhere they're going to be playing attacking football.
Well, we'll see how this one plays out. But for one thing certain, we cannot sell Luka Vuskovic. You can loan him for 1 year, loan him for 2 years. Do not sell the guy. That's all I'm saying. Next up, let's talk about Cuti, because A lot has been said about Cuti, about him leaving and everything like that, which still seems the case. But Ben Jacobs has given us an insight on how Tottenham value Cuti Romero, and he says Tottenham value Cuti Romero at 70 to 80 million. However, the buying clubs are looking at between 50 and 60 million, and no bids have come in as of yet.
What's interesting when listening to what he said, if you actually listen to the actual quote, he said buying clubs value him at 50, but internal Tottenham sources have reportedly laughed at that transfer fee. So that's what he's saying. Tottenham think of that reported 50 million. Now, as we've said, I agree his value. If things were different, if he was settled, playing well, Tottenham weren't willing to sell, all that kind of stuff, he didn't want to leave, you're probably looking at a 70 to 80 million pound player for sure to get him out of Tottenham or to make us think about it. But given the circumstances, given that we seem open to selling, given that he seems to want to go, then obviously that weakens our position, and the price goes down. If you don't want to keep him, then you have to be willing to negotiate. You have to be quite movable on the price. So I don't think, obviously, we're going to stick to 70 million. As much as maybe on the face of it, that will be our price. That price will drop. I envisage it will be close to 50 million he'll go. Maybe a bit, maybe 55, something like that.
It's mad to think, though, that Romero will go for 50 million with multiple years left in his contract, and Van Hecker with 1 year left in his deal is going to go for pretty much the same price. Is that not crazy?
Yeah, it is crazy. I think, but again, it's Van Hecker's. Obviously, Van Hecker also doesn't want to, wants to leave, and apparently only wants Spurs. So in theory, does leave us in a strong position. So I think if we really wanted, we could drive that price down, I would think.
You're only worth as much as someone's willing to pay at the end of the day.
Exactly. So I think there will be teams willing to go for Romero. I think right now he's at the World Cup. I think he's clearly going to be very focused on that with Argentina. So it's probably very quiet right now. There will be movement for him. I think he'll go. I think there'll be a bid of around 55 to 60, maybe 55 plus add-on, something like that. It'll be interesting to see what happens if there really isn't any interest at that price. Like, do we loan him out? Do we keep him? What do we do in that scenario? It'll be very interesting.
You could loan him out with an option to buy of 60 million, 65 million, something like that. On Solanke, a few rumours of him leaving, but Ben Jacobs says that Solanke is liked by De Zerbi and he expects a big return from him once he is fit. They are working on wide attacker right now before looking at the striker next. So Solanke firmly in Roberto De Zerbi's plans, it seems.
Yeah, and that doesn't surprise me. As I've said, I think Solanke gets a bad rap from the fan base because I think for most of his Tottenham career, he's been injured and we haven't really seen the best of him, and he's always come back from injury, and I don't think we fully appreciate what he does do. I think we're also focused on he's not the best finisher and what he doesn't do, but I think what he does do is really, really high level, and I think De Zerbi would like him. He's physical. He's an amazing presser. Obviously, he can score goals, but he's just not the best finisher. He needs chances put on a plate for him, essentially, which is fine. And I think we could do with a bit of a killer in the box and someone who's a better finisher. But I think he has his value. I think he's a good player, and I think unfortunately for him, it's just been a weird career at Tottenham for him. You know, we've been 17th twice. He's had his injuries when he came without any injury problems. Yeah. There's just been it's not quite got going for him. But I think when you watch him play, you can see there's a good player there, in my opinion, when he's 100% fully fit. Also, sometimes he comes back and he's off his game. He's off the pace. He's not quite on it, and he gets bullied too much and stuff. But when he's fully fit and he's firing, he's hard to get the ball off, isn't he? He backs into defenders and they struggle against him. And that's the Solanke we need back. And I think that's the Solanke maybe he sees in training. So I expect him to stay. I think Rishi's obviously, going to go. And then there's room for another, hopefully, big signing up front. Yeah.
I feel like with Solanke, obviously this year, last year he had his injury problems. This year it's just been the season from hell for him. We've barely seen him. He was out pretty much the whole season. And then he came back. He had a bit of a good stint, and then he was really poor pretty much for the rest of the season. So I do want to give Solanke another year, see him come back pre-season fit, see him actually play out a season for us and see how it goes. But if these injury problems persist next season, then I think we're going to have to get rid. Give him one more year.
But this is a player that we know shouldn't have injury problems. You know what I mean?
But last 2 seasons has been blighted with injuries.
I understand that, but is that because he's an injury-prone player, or is that because either we're doing something wrong, or he's just been unlucky? Like, we don't know. But what we know is before Tottenham, he had a pretty perfect injury record.
Yeah.
So I don't think we've just got an injury-prone player on our hands. That's not what I think.
Yeah, but look, we'll have to wait and see how next season plays out. But if he does have those injury problems again next season, that's 3 years now of constant injuries. So can we keep just trying to get the best out of him, or do we have to cut our losses and go somewhere else?
Look, they'll have to do that analysis internally as to why it keeps happening. Is it because he has some problem that's just going to keep coming back and we can't do anything about it? Or has he just been unlucky? We have to do that internal analysis.
Pedro Porro, obviously he signed his new contract today, and Ben Jacobs says that Atletico Madrid and Bayern Munich both held formative talks with Porro's camp. However, Porro did make it clear to Tottenham that if they stayed up, he would sign that new contract. So batting away Bayern Munich, batting away Atletico Madrid, Man City were there as well. He only wanted Tottenham.
I mean, that must be De Zerbi's influence. It must be, because there's no way he would have said that if De Zerbi wasn't at the helm. So big up to him. I'm delighted. We spoke about it before, but he's a top player, good top mentality as well. I really believe he cares about this club, and I'm just delighted that he's decided to stay on. And I think, again, he gets a bad rap from a lot of fans, in my opinion, because maybe sometimes he can't defend as well as other players. But if you can't see what he brings, I don't know what people are watching.
Yeah, a lot's been made out of his defensive work, but I feel like he's always getting better. You know, how many times, especially in like the last 7 games, did he put on top defensive displays for us? You know, I think his defending and his defensive work goes under the radar sometimes.
I agree. And I think, hopefully, if he can share the burden with Spence, then he's not going to be out on his feet every bloody game as well. And he plays every minute of every game. He's relentless, and I love him for that. But sometimes that leads to him, clearly, you can see, like, he can't keep up those energy levels for as long as he maybe should. And maybe next season, Robertson now there, Spence could help him out a bit. Yeah. And maybe we see a fresher Porro.
Yeah, completely agree. But it's massive for us to retain the services of Pedro Porro. It really is, in my opinion. Let's get into some potential incomings. Let's start off with Savinho. All gone quiet on that front. Ben Jacobs says it's all down to one man, and that is Ferran Soriano, who is the Man City executive that blocked the move last summer. So it's all down to him, and I'm blocking the move for Savinho. The player terms and finances have never been an issue. It's all down to the City board if they give the green light, and then the deal will get done. So it's all down to Ferran Soriano.
Which is, you know, why they find it so hard to keep him, because clearly he still values his talent. I think there's a real player in there, which is obviously interesting from that point of view. But usually, if the player wants to move, if the fee's not an issue, if the wage aren't an issue, usually those things get done. But I don't think they'll want to keep him against his will for a second season in a row, because he already missed out on the World Cup because he stayed. He would think that anyway. He probably thinks if I went to Tottenham, showed what I can do, maybe I'd be at that World Cup. And he's probably a bit angry at the situation. So I think it's probably time for him to just get a new start. So I think it's good heading in the right direction. But let's see what how stubborn this City director is.
It has gone awfully quiet though, hasn't it? Since the season ticket renewal deadline slammed shut. That's the reality.
We'll see. Yeah.
There's been no updates on it whatsoever.
Yeah. But look, these are big multi-million-pound deals. Some of them happen very quickly. Some of them take time. We'll see what happens.
Next up, a new name added into the mix, and he goes by the name of Liam Delap of Chelsea. Tottenham are one of several Premier League clubs, alongside Newcastle and Everton, that are interested in Chelsea's Liam Delap. But Delap does want to know where he stands at Chelsea before he makes any move, because obviously they've got a new manager in now. He wasn't really favoured last season. When he did get on the pitch, he wasn't very good, let's put it like that. But he did show in the Premier League what he can do at Ipswich the season before. You know, had a stunning season, which, you know, got Chelsea to sign him. So where would you be at with Liam Delap? Would you be interested in signing him?
I like some of what he does. I don't think he is a killer in front of goal. I don't think he's
scored quite a lot of goals the season before, didn't he?
He got what, like 10. He was good.
Was it only 10? I thought it was more than that.
Was it 10? Something 10 to 15. I don't think it was as high as 15. Like, I think it was around 10, 11, something like that. I'm not saying it was look, for Ipswich, it's a good amount. I'm not saying he had a bad season whatsoever. And he scored some good goals.
12 goals, yeah. 14 goal contributions.
But, like, a lot of them were, like, stunning goals. I'm not saying that's not a bad... I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying you watch the goals, a lot of them are he would get the ball, far away from goal, find a yard of space and then just smash it. And, like, he has a great shot on him, but in terms of... He definitely benefited from the fact that everyone was just like going to Ipswich, and he would, similar to Igor Thiago, but he scored very different kind of goals to Igor Thiago.
Was it not like he took like half a season to get to, and then the second half of the season he just exploded a little bit? Or am I mistaken it?
He had a bit of a slow start, but he was pretty good. He's a good player. He's obviously been a disaster at Chelsea. From when I've seen him, I've not been impressed. And in fact, he's been so eager to do stuff. He keeps getting bookings and yellows and even
he was
reds.
doing that at Ipswich as well.
Yeah, I know, but he's very liable for those kind of things. I don't think he's that kind of predatory striker, in my opinion. He's kind of like a scorer of great goals, but not really a great goal scorer. Maybe we could get... I think we probably need more of someone who's more reliable in the box in front of goal. I'm not saying... Maybe he's only 23, and clearly he's got very good physical attributes. He's strong. He does have a really good shot technique. But I just feel like he's not one of those players who I think would get you 20 goals.
It's interesting as well, like how we look at things, because at the end of last season, everyone would have said they wanted Liam Delap. And now he's gone to Chelsea and stunk it out a little bit. Now nobody wants him. But like a year ago, everyone was clamouring for Liam Delap, weren't they?
Yeah, I think at the moment, strikers are a rare commodity. So I think when you've got someone like Delap who did score a decent amount at Ipswich, a relegated Ipswich, it picks up your ears, especially at that age as well. You're thinking, wow, this guy is super talented. I'm not saying he isn't. You know, if he started every game for Chelsea, maybe he would have got a similar amount of goals. Obviously, João Pedro's been outshining him and gotten the nod, and he is probably a better fit. I think maybe at a different club. I'm not saying he's a bad striker. I just don't. For me, I don't think he's top level. And as I say, I'm not saying we should only be signing a top level striker, because I don't think there's many on the market right now. So I think he should probably be under consideration. But again, I said it before, like if we all got Guirassy or something, I'd rather that right now, and then wait for the striker market to open up a bit, because right now if we're going to buy Delap for 40 million, you know what? Do we only give him a season, you know, and then you want to sell him again? I'd rather just not sign him. Maybe he comes in, hits the ground running, he's amazing. I just don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree, to be honest. I don't know if I'm so up for Liam Delap, and I'd much rather sign Guirassy. Guirassy's the one I think we should be going for.
Apparently he's going to Turkey, I read.
Yeah, well, Guirassy's agent was speaking about Turkey a few days ago, and we updated about it, saying, you know, we've had offers from Turkey, but we've also had interest from teams around Europe as well. So nothing's made up. He hasn't made up his mind yet.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's some reports. I mean, I don't know how much you can trust the Turkish reports, but a lot of them are saying
not very much.
He's set to sign a deal. So I think it was at Besiktas or something.
No, I don't know about that.
Might be.
Well, if he's going to sign a deal at Besiktas, let's go get Besiktas striker then. Because he's a good striker. Yeah. Let's go get him. All right. Who do we have next? Let's talk about... This is an interesting one. I don't see if it will happen, but let's report it anyway. Matheus Fernandes of West Ham. He says that Spurs have made an inquiry for West Ham's midfielder Matheus Fernandes. Samuel Luckhurst has reported today saying that Manchester United very much front of the queue at the moment for Matheus Fernandes. But I think he's a player of supreme quality. I think he's been unbelievable for West Ham this season. I think West Ham got a really good player when I thought I rated him at Southampton as well. But it looks like he is nailed on for Manchester United. I don't know if we can steal a march on them or kind of get them ahead of him, but he is a very good player.
I think they've sold on a march on us at the moment. That's the reality. All on everyone else. Obviously, you're looking at apparently they want 80 million, 80 to 85 million. So it's a hefty fee. Not saying he's not worth it. It's just it is a big price. He was brilliant last year, and what I like about him is he's got really great technical ability, and he's a fighter as well. He puts in those challenges.
Really tenacious. Yeah.
Really tenacious. I really like him. He's got quality as well. Some of the goals he was scoring last season were brilliant. I think I'll definitely be interested if I'm Spurs. But yeah, it looks like Man United probably stolen a march on us. I don't know if we can compete with them as well. If you're West Ham, who would you rather sell to? United or Spurs? And obviously it's obviously United, so that obviously plays a little factor in it. But they did just sell us Kudus, so they have previous to selling us if we pay the right price.
And whenever West Ham go down, we always take that.
It's true. It has happened on a couple of occasions.
Scott Parker, Jermaine Defoe, Freddie Canute.
So yeah, I don't think this happens, but I'm not surprised that Tottenham made an inquiry just to see what's
Test
possible.
The waters, Palhinha, this deal has gone pretty quiet as of late. Ben Jacobs says that Spurs are still in negotiations with Bayern to lower the fee for Palhinha by 5 to 10 million. He would like to stay at Spurs. Ben Jacobs did suggest that if Bayern don't lower the fee for him, they're going to look elsewhere.
Yeah. Look, again, if we get him, he's saying 5 to 7 million lower than 25. So you're looking at 80 million euros, that is, or 50 pounds.
It says 5 to 10 million. So, yeah, Spurs are looking for a significant fee off.
No, you said 5 to 10 million less.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, which is, if we get him for that kind of fee, it's hard to turn your nose up at that for a player like Palhinha. I'm just saying, if we end up going in a different direction, I'm not too bothered about it. I do think there are players who are probably better fits for us, in my opinion, and we could do with maybe not having to spend the money on him. But it is such a cheap fee. If we can get the money off for a player of his quality, for what he provides, I think it's the right thing to negotiate that deal. We know Bayern are desperate to sell. He wants to stay at Tottenham, so I think Tottenham do have a bit of leverage here. So I'm hoping that I think Bayern would probably agree to it, I would say.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Why have they not agreed to it already? Like, this has been rumbling on for so long now. It looked as though, like, literally at the last day of the season, De Zerbi says, I want to keep him. It's just taking so long.
Yeah, I don't know. Why is this? This should be a pretty simple deal to do, you'd think.
I've got a feeling Spurs are just weighing up their options and seeing out who else is available before they're pushing the button on Palhinha.
Which I'm not mad at, to be honest.
Yeah. And last but not least, let's talk about Alex Scott, Tottenham boy, Alex Scott. Couple of reports. Ben Jacobs says that Tottenham are in the mix for Alex Scott, but Bournemouth value him at 80 million and don't want to budge on that fee as well. And I'm thinking, like, what? He's got 1 year left in his deal? Is that right? 1 year left in his deal, and you're not budging on 80 million. I think that's nuts. He's not even worth 80 million with 3 years left in his deal. Never mind 1 year left in your deal. I think that's crazy. SZY says there's definite interest, but he's unaware if they're going to pursue it or not. I know that other clubs are wary of pursuing, and he'd been particularly keen on Spurs if they did come in the race, being a Spurs boy and everything. But 80 million is just nuts. He's not worth 80 million.
What we need is Arsenal to come in, Tom, just swoop in.
Oh,
that'll be nice to be a bit of a redemption there for Eze, but that's a pipe dream. 80 million's crazy. In this, I mean, look, Alex Scott is a great player, and unfortunately, you're looking at where the market's at. You got Elliot Anderson apparently could be going for over 120 million. Yeah. So, I mean, what does that make Alex Scott? I mean, is Alex Scott half the player that Anderson is? Probably not that bad. So, you're probably thinking if Anderson is 120, maybe he is over 60 million. He maybe is about 70, 80 million, but. The market is pretty crazy and very inflated at the moment. So I guess if you really want the player, you got to pay these. These are the kind of prices you got to pay these days, especially when you're buying off Premier League teams.
1 year left on your deal.
Yeah, true.
80
1 year
million,
left.
That's crazy. Anderson's got quite a hefty contract still. Like Alex Scott, with 1 year left in his deal, should be 40 million tops, in my opinion. Tops.
I think what we should do is get in his ear and tell him, look, you stay at Bournemouth for another year, run it down, and we're going to swoop in on a free.
100%.
That's what we should do.
100%. Or take him in January.
We'll take him in January for like 20 million or something. Yeah,
you know what I mean? But tell him you'll definitely be a Spurs boy in the next year. And that's it. Don't sign that contract to Bournemouth.
What you do is you loan Palhinha again for another year. Then tell Scott, he's on loan. He ain't staying. You're our guy.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, it'll be a great kind of free transfer. If we can get Alex Scott for 20 million or for free, that would be incredible business. Get him another year development or another 6 months development at Bournemouth where he's doing so well. He'll flourish even more next season, and then we can swoop in.
But Bournemouth are going to keep trying to convince him to sign, aren't they? Sign a new deal. Let's just hope he doesn't.
Well, it seems like he's holding strong right now. He always wants Spurs. He only wants Spurs. It will pain. It will be very painful to see him at Arsenal if Arsenal do try and go get him.
Also, be very painful Bournemouth letting another player go on a free to Tottenham.
Yeah.
After Senesi.
Yeah, well, it's what it is. What can you do? It's the food chain right here.
Exactly.
But look, that is it from us today. That is your Tottenham update. We'll be back tomorrow with more World Cup watch-alongs as well. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.